Okay, so hello YouTube, Muckluck here, and a lot of negative thoughts about the patch, and I want to share them. Not while I'm raging, not like while I'm crying, anything like that, although there have been tears. Just trying to explain this. So, they seem to have taken a direction with a lot of classes, and it's weird because they say their reasoning on the forums is that they wanted us to not have to spam abilities to keep up stuff. That's a good thing. You know, Scrappers having to hit their gyros every time they come off cooldown. Druids having to just hit the spirit button every time it comes off cooldown. Those are good things. I think it's good to get away from that. However, it feels like they've just done it way worse. And I'll try to explain what I mean. Here's Druid, the class I play the most. I'll go to some of the other classes after this. Now, Druid previously, while you were in your normal state, you could provide many boons. Stone Spirit could constantly keep up protection. Sun Spirit would keep up vigor, hitting Healing Spring, and there was a few other methods of doing it, but regen was easy. A combination of Warhorn and a few other things was Fury and Might, Swiftness. Your boons were provided by you being in your normal form, and you did some healing, because the staff did some healing, and also you're constantly taking regeneration did some nice healing. But then if an emergency happened, you could go astral and you were just an incredible healer for 10 seconds. You could just like slam down a massive heal. You could do a glyph that does a massive res on a bunch of people. And you had this button on standby for when stuff unexpected happened or when expected things happened. Maybe like, okay, I know this boss is going to do a huge amount of damage very soon, and I'm saving this for that moment. You know, it would be an incoming spike, and this would be how you would counter it. It was a healer cooldown. What they've done with, I'll start with the Druid and I'll visit a few classes as we go here. What they've done is they made it to where, you know, Druid used to give alacrity by spamming Spirit Button. I would enjoy that playstyle, but then they put it on Astral Form. So now I have to go into Astral Form and hit just random buttons for huge heals in moments that they're not needed to keep up Astral. Also Might. They moved some of the Might over to Astral Form. So I have to just, and also I'm basically getting Carpal Tunnel. Look at this. So I have to just hit this like, 30 times. And then we've got Alacrity for a little bit. And, the Alacrity is, cooling down. And, okay, Avatar comes back up. And I've got 3 seconds before Alacrity falls off. I don't have enough Astral Power to go back into the form. Now, if I had heals going, Astral Power is generated mostly by heals. If I had heals pumping on a bunch of other people, maybe regeneration, I might be able to go back in Astral Form and catch the Alacrity before it falls off again. That can be fixed by tweaking the numbers, but in my eyes, the main problem is the fact that we have to go into Astral Form to do the Alacrity at all. So here's what's going to happen. Before, if it was just like, here's us normally, oh, something bad happened, go Astral, I'm an amazing healer, okay, we've fixed the situation, now we're cooling back off again. Now it's going to be like Astral, no Astral, Astral, out of Astral, Astral, out of Astral. We're just going to be constantly doing this. I'm a good healer, I'm a bad healer. I'm a good healer, I'm a bad healer. And if there's ever a moment that the bad thing happens, where you need an AoE res, or you need to do a massive heal to save lives, and you're leaving Astral, or you're not in it, they're dead. And it's going to be like, oh, sorry, I couldn't save you. I gave you buffs recently. Which is a much worse system. Forcing us to go in and out of it is something that used to be on the Druid's menu like over a year ago. And then they changed it and it was no longer necessary, and now it's back. So just the fact that we have to spend our huge heals when they're not needed to keep up the buffs is the same problem with spirits, but it's worse. Okay? And there's a lot of other things here. Also, keeping up protection used to be done by Stone Spirit. Now, dude, I've been taking notes. Now keeping up protection is Stone Spirit plus using F2 of a pet with a 25-second cooldown. Hit the F2 every time it come off cooldown, combined with the Invigorating Bond trait. Note, you cannot swap pets or save your F2 skills when they are needed, or you're going to lose track of when it's available, because the pet's F2 is affected by Alacrity, but Invigorating Bond has a 20-second cooldown not affected by Alacrity. Like, it's insane. There's like 3 hoops you have to jump through to keep protection up, 3 you have to jump through to keep vigor up, and a bunch you have to do to keep might up, and keeping might and alacrity up is going to give you carpal tunnel with the new system. So, whereas before, although it was boring, Stone Spirit just, boom, prot was done. Sun Spirit, boom, vigor was done. Easy. Okay, so Druid, they've way overcomplicated it, and they've made it to where you have to constantly waste your huge healing. So let's go to another class. Let's briefly visit the Scourge. Everybody knows that the Scourges have been upset about the patch that was coming. Scourge is probably my third most played class. And of course, you know, we all know Noxxi. She plays Scourge a lot, and I talk with her a lot. Now, Scourge, mine sits in Eye of the North, because most of the time I only play it when I'm in a group and they are failing on Bone Skinner, and I swap to Scourge and I hard carry it, and then that's it. So Scourge, they've made some changes, and here's what the non-Scourge players basically need to know. One, they're way worse at reviving. They're still good, better than other classes, but way worse than they were, okay? And they can provide alacrity by pumping barrier. So when they give you barrier, you get alacrity. So let me run over here away from these people for a second. So if you just watch my buffs and look for alacrity. So like, here's a little bit of alacrity, 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 and then, okay, now I'm just mashing these keys every time they come off cooldown to try to just barely keep it from not falling off. And I am in concentration gear right now. My concentration's not a plus 100%, but it's close. And I just, again, we have a situation where I am spamming a cooldown of a strong defensive skill when it's not needed to keep up alacrity. Now, to be fair, unlike Druid, most fights in the game, you benefit from having barrier constantly being pumped. There are some, though, Veil Guardian's a great example, where it's like every 20 to 30 seconds, the boss hits like a truck when those greens fall down. If you don't know what it is, just know it's a big hit. And you would want your Necro to save all the barriers possible and just throw all of those shields up when the green's about to blow up. If you did that with this playstyle, alacrity would fall off constantly, because you'd be saving the shields for when you need them. Okay, so, and that's besides the point of the fact that Transfusion's been nerfed from 20% healing to 10, Ritual of Life with 2 Blood Wells has been nerfed from 70% revive down to 20, like, it's been absolutely dumpstered in many other ways, but again, just the philosophy of it just seems very poor. Okay, next one that I have looked at. I'm going to log on my engineer. He's currently a mechanist, but I'm going to swap to Scrapper in just a second. So, Heal Scrapper. I can proudly state that I was one of the first people to make a guide for Heal Scrapper when that came out. Now, Heal Scrapper definitely has been overshadowed by many other people, but Heal Scrapper became popular long ago in World v. World, more so recently when it got access to, I say recently, sorry, it's like a year ago, when they got access to quickness. Then when they got access to giving people quickness, Heal Scrapper became much more popular. It could heal, it could do boons, it could give quickness, it could give super speed, not common, and it could stealth their team through fractals. Some fractals are just a record time by just super speed and stealth your team. Just blast through the whole thing. It's great. It's fantastic. Now, it used to be you just had to hit gyros every time they lit up to give quickness to your team. So that would basically be hit blast gyro, hit bulwark gyro, hit bypass coding, and you waste your self-heal, which admittedly was bad. That was bad design. Wasting your self-heal every time it comes off cooldown to give super speed and give quickness to your team. And by the way, those are connected. If you don't play Scrapper, you get quickness when they give you super speed. It's a package deal. So just wasting those every time they lit up was how you did it. That's how it was. Wasn't great, but that's how it was. The new version is you give quickness by doing leap or blast finishers. Okay, with the current setup we've already got, the blast finishers we have is Blast Gyro is a blast finisher itself. You can go into Medkit, do 3 and then 5 for a Water Blast finisher. You can go into Elixir Gun, do 5 and then 4 and launch yourself out of it for another Condi Cleanse blast finisher. And see, we got a bit of quickness here. However, that's not enough. And they said, oh, well, to fix it, we will give Blast Finisher to Function Gyro. So Function Gyro does a lightning field and then blasts it instantly, so that gives quickness too. Well, guess what? Function Gyro was the res. I think ArenaNet forgot that I raided with them once, and we had that little counter. We made fun of it. We just had some we were goofing around. Palawa Joko was in there. I got 65 reses or something like that, and we killed Cairn with people that were new because of Function Gyro. Function Gyro is a revive tool or a stomp tool in PvP. They're making it something you waste. They're bringing back wasting skills to get 6 more seconds of quickness. And this is with max boon duration also. So once again, we have a situation where we're being forced to waste skills that have a purpose to get a few more seconds of a buff. Very odd that this doesn't include whirlwind finishers because we've got the lovely Shredder gyro here, and the Shredder gyro does whirlwind finishers, and it will not work. It doesn't work for this. Also, it needs blast or leap finishers, so it needs leap finishers. Gun pistol doesn't have a leap finisher. So I'm guessing if Heal Scrapper is still going to exist, I don't know if I'm going to play it, you're going to need to use Hammer now. Which, okay, Hammer, you can do 5 and then 3 through it, and that does some leap finishers. If you have a target where it keeps you in it, it'll do, I think it's 2 leap finishers when you do it. So that'll be a couple more. However, by not having the shield, you're now giving less protection to your team. So to do the same quickness as before, you have to give up giving prot to your team. Heal turret is a blast finisher on a field, yes, but if you are the healer of your group, you're going to be using a med kit. Because medkit is for healing your team. This is your heal scrapper we're talking about, not DPS scrapper. DPS scrapper would be different, but again, you are incentivized to waste the function gyro to get the quickness on people. So really not a fan of that. And also, I want to point out, we've been talking about like Druid has to do all this insane stuff, waste all of these major cooldowns to give alacrity to their team. You know what Bladesword has to done? Power of God and anime on my side, that's it. They swing the sword. They Dragon Slash when it comes off cooldown, that's it. Okay, Scrapper has to do 57 combos to keep quickness up on his team and use subpar weapon sets now. Do you know what Harbinger has to do to give up quickness? That's it, poop their pants. Get that green shroud all over their butt, you got it. You have quickness. As long as you're close enough to smell that stench, you have quickness. It just emanates off their body, free of charge. No shipping, instant delivery. It blows my mind because I play a lot of different classes a little bit, and some of them, they're just so unequal right now, and it really frustrates me. Harbinger is an example of someone that gives quickness with like no effort. Mechanist is an example of someone that gives alacrity with almost no effort. It's referring mainly to heal Mechanist. The Berserker and the Bladesworn are great examples of they just baked it into the kit. Now, I don't even know if Berserker needed quickness, but they put it on a button they were already slamming, and it's easy. They put Alacrity on a button that Bladesworns were already slamming, so it's easy. For Druids, we have to waste everything. And also they kind of killed the class, because now a Druid before was giving you protection. Very difficult to do that now. It's giving you Vigor. Can't give that with 100% uptime now. Can reach like 95% uptime, but you have to waste a ton of resources. They could bring the right pet for the right job. We need projectile block on this fight? Cool. We need a pull on this fight? Cool. We need to immobilize on this fight? Cool. Now, if I bring the wrong pet, you lost your alacrity. Sorry, I said alacrity, I meant vigor and prot. Because you need the pet to have a 25-second cooldown to sync up with invigorating bond. So some of this stuff, it's absolutely wild. They said they wanted to get away from us having to slam skills off cooldown, and in every instance I know of, they've made it worse. With Scrapper, they've made it worse. With Druid, they made it worse. With Scourge, they made it worse. Herald, I have played a little bit of Herald. Herald, just a couple weeks ago, I tried it out and I ran it through some strikes and stuff like that. It was pretty fun. You basically, the way you played it before, you would sit in Glint and just be, pumping boons and keeping everyone nice and healthy, and you could easily keep all the boons on people, like, no problem. And that's Glint throwing up. You would keep all the boons on people just by hitting the right keys and keeping some of them channeling the whole time. If an emergency happened, similar to Druid, you had a backup mode. Those backup modes include going to Centaur Stance and doing tablet magic, or swapping to Staff, because the Staff has a bunch of healing skills on here that you could use. And once you were settled, you as quickly as possible would get back to your pumping out normal boons, which would be Mace Shield and Glint. Now, the new version requires you to constantly be draining your energy bar to apply quickness. And since the energy bar drains, that forces you to swap when it wouldn't otherwise be needed. So it's like, I'm in Glint, swap. I'm in Centaur, swap. I'm in Glint, swap. So if you need a projectile block from Centaur while you're in Glint, too bad. It's always on cooldown. Like, there's a set time when you're in it and a set time that you're not. There are many fights. The Adina, Cardinal Adina, where it's so good having the on-demand bubble block from the Revenant. And with this build, it's like, oh, sorry, I left Centaur a few seconds ago. You got 8 more seconds till I can do that again. It's again forcing you to burn tools you wouldn't have to otherwise to keep up the boon that some of the other classes can just do almost passively. So yeah, I don't know all 27 elite specs fluently. I will not pretend like I do, but everyone I do consider myself fluent in. I'm really bummed out by this patch. Like the most I have. I'm really excited about the expansion and all that, but more than any other patch I have seen before in the time that I've been playing this game, I'm bummed out right now. I've looked at healing. I cannot find a way of playing Support Druid, my favorite class, in PvE as a support that doesn't just break my hands. Like, you know, giving Prot is now like a 4-step process. Giving Vigor is another different 4-step process. Giving Alacrity involves giving myself Carpal Tunnel, because I literally have to hit some of these keys between 20 and 30 times between each Astral Form. And yeah, then just, again, in exchange for all of that, I no longer have on-demand ways to save people's lives. So Druid is probably still my favorite for PvP. I've already tried out the condition damage Druid in PvP. It's been pretty fun. And, you know, I think normal Druid is still fun in PvP as well. I've heard good things about it in World v World. But in PvE, my God, I can't recommend it to people right now. It feels like it is just broken. And it also feels like, I don't want to say they don't test things. I'm sure they do test things. But it feels like most of these problems were so easily spotted within minutes of testing the Druid in the Aerodrome. And I could not keep the boons up. And it was just like, are you insane? What do they want you to do here? So, yeah. Anyway, I just want to share it. That's my thoughts. If anyone else is having problems with it, please know that I am too. I hope this changes. I really don't, like, in this moment, I think I'd be happier if they just reverted the stuff and took quickness and alacrity out of the game. No, I don't particularly want that to happen, but I'd rather have that than this. This thing where all of the builds are required to, like, they've got these nice tools. I have a function gyro to save lives when they're in danger. I have a thing to block projectiles for when there's a problem with projectiles. And then you have all these tools for different jobs, and then we're told to just all throw them away every chance we get to keep up a boon. I just don't like it. Okay, that's it. That's me saying my piece. That's my thoughts after testing the new build for the better part of one day, and, you know, maybe you can share your thoughts down below.